So I similarly was voting for Jill Stein in New York in 2016.
I did the same.
No, you
And
didn't.
I also happen to believe that strategically it makes the most sense to apply pressure to the Democratic Party by voting for not Biden in a primary. Marianne Williamson is obviously the most progressive candidate in the primary, and then vote for Cornel West in the general. And I know there are a lot of people in my audience who are frustrated by that plan because they think that it takes something away from Cornel West's run, or it affirms the Democratic Party in some way to vote for Marianne Williamson running as a Democrat. I don't feel that way. I feel it's a little hypocritical to have that position, given that we all just enthusiastically voted for Bernie twice in the primary the last two rounds. You can make a distinction saying that Bernie was an independent and he always identified as an independent, and Marianne Williamson doesn't have that kind of cloak of distance from the Democratic Party. You can say what you want. I don't see those things as mutually exclusive in the least. So
Gotcha. All right. So that's the point I do want to kind of touch upon. If you wanted to comment before I bring up this other video, because due dissidence does. Go ahead, Rom. Go ahead, Rom.
I honestly feel like you guys are wasting time that we don't have. Like, and it sucks because a lot of people have potential, or they so smart that they just get stuck. It's like a ceiling above them when it comes to actually organizing or pushing for a better life. You guys, we don't live that long. We don't live that long, and if the best thing that we can do is live loud. But to sit here and try to, let's try to vote for somebody and vote for somebody, like what do this do? Because we still have the FBI, the CIA, the IMF. We have organizations that's put in place to keep certain people in place. So how and what can you do to actually, what can Marianne Williamson do against the CIA? What they haven't done to, like, what they're going, she going to get JFK? She going to go out like a martyr? And she going to really pass Medicare for all with all of these insurance companies and got so much money into our Congress, into our government? What are you actually doing? And we are wasting time. We don't have voting, because that's all you can do, because nothing else get done in between. That's all I wanted to say. Whether it be for Mrs. Williamson or RFK, Cornel West, you decide your life. You control your life. And dog, stop wasting time. It's nobody you can vote for. You have all the power that you need. And I keep telling you guys, all you guys coming to me complaining about your neighborhoods. Oh, well, I'm trying to, but everybody's a Trumpster. Well, try harder, and get out there and control your neighborhood, because they already poisoned your water. They already poisoned your food, Democrats and Republicans. So it's just a waste of time, y'all. I'm telling you, this is a pyramid scheme.
My bad, Ron. So I did want to sort of counter what said there, because the left has to be an example. We can't. I think it was a Jamu. Like, we can't. No, it was Shama Sawant who said something like this when it was an interview with Bree, and she was like, the reason I can't support people, like, it's like we have to project to the working class people, no illusions here. So it matters. If we're just a regular person that people aren't looking at, like if you didn't know who CJ was, I'm just regular James, which was the first 40 years of my life before anybody knew CJ. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But if I have a mic and I got, thousands of people listening to me, that matters what I do. It matters what I do. And the professional managerial class just hasn't picked up on that yet. But I love how Due Dissidence breaks it down. It's about 2 minutes here I want to play, that they break this down on her. And I'm merging. And then it's another video where Sabby Sab and Norm Finkelstein talks about Marianne Williamson. It's kind of, so think about that in this too. I know it's two things, but this addresses both. And I just wanted to make sure everybody's cognitive. I'm going to use this for another thing I'm going to do later.
Vote for Marianne. I promise you, I don't care if you vote for Marianne. I don't care if anybody else votes for Marianne. I have a vote. I am living in DC.
You play the
I would
Star
rather
Wars
use it to vote
where
against
he
Joe
criticized
Biden. I'm
Marianne?
not voting for RFK.
Say again.
Do you have the time slot where he starts his criticism of Marianne? Because he kind of destroys her.
Oh,
Anyway.
this is not that one yet. This is not that one yet.
Oh, cool. Go ahead. Proceed.
Yeah. The time I have the video, the Sabby clip. I don't have the whole video.
Okay.
I don't know if you were looking for the whole thing.
Yeah,
But no, this is to talk about what she was just saying about it doesn't matter that she's supporting Marianne. When it does, and they break it down on why it does matter, and I love how they break it down here. Let's listen.
Marianne Williamson, and then voting for our Cornel West in the general election. This seems to be the most obvious, least controversial statement in the history of left politics. But
I'm sorry, and for those that didn't see this, because Rome may not have saw this, I know you may have not seen this whole interview. So what happened was Bree interviewed Norm Finkelstein, and I'm sorry, Norman Finkelstein, and they had a regular conversation, very cordial, just about left sort of things. At the end, when the show is already over, and you know how they say, "Oh, do you have any last thoughts?" He says, "Let me just give you a bit of criticism on his way out." And this is her reaction. His criticism is Marianne Williamson ain't it. And she explodes in this manner. And listen to the.
But apparently, I've stepped on a third rail.
Okay, the reason why it's not irrelevant,
and this is her martyr thing. This is her martyr thing. She's like, I stepped on a third rail. Everyone's coming at me. You get paid very well for what you do, and this comes with the gig. For somebody who is admirably aware of her own privilege, she nonetheless cannot help to demonstrate it whenever she gets put upon, as in this case.
I also just have to add the reason why it's relevant, the reason why, your support for Marianne is not irrelevant is, very much signified by the events of the past 36 hours, right? Like if you're going to support a candidate with no chance to win, it is important to do so in a way that at least defines whatever movement you're trying to build on terms that we can all agree to. And Marianne Williamson, just like RFK, I mean, she's better than RFK on this. Everybody's better than RFK on this. But Marianne Williamson, like 99% of elected Democrats and Republicans in America, Netanyahu's better than RFK on this, right? Exactly. She's terrible on this issue. And obviously, Norm Finkelstein lost his career over taking a stand on this issue, right? And so that's why it's important. That's why it is important. Right. And the idea that there's anything strategic about registering your discontent with the Democratic Party, like the Democratic Party gives a fuck about your discontent or anybody else's discontent. If there's anyone in America who's best positioned to have understood this by now, it's Brianna Joy Gray. She worked on the Bernie 2020 campaign. Like, what don't you understand about they don't give a fuck?
They wipe their ass with your discontent.
Exactly. They don't fucking care.
Great, masterful point made by our brothers over at Due Dissidence, because it does matter. And I'm saying that to say, not just Marianne Williamson, it matters if you vote for Joe Biden, especially after this massacre that's occurring in Palestine. It matters because what's going to happen is what Rome has already said. And Nick too alluded to this. In a few months, they're all going to be saying, or no, I think Rome used the term trapdoor. In a few months, they're going to pull out a trapdoor that leads everybody back to the Democratic Party. Yeah. And that's problematic for us. Go ahead, Nick, if you wanted to chime in there.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Crystal Ball gave away the game in the debate that we played in the intro. She said, yeah, technically I'm supporting Marianne Williamson, but let's be honest, it's going to be Biden in the end. So, on RBN, we told you guys that Marianne Williamson is very problematic because a lot of Marianne Williamson supporters are just Biden supporters that are taking a pit stop. You know what I mean?
All right.
And it was
never.
That's classic. That is classic, Nick.
and it was never a serious campaign to challenge power. It was a book tour. And if we're gonna have a real movement for change, we have to be. Yeah, go ahead, Rome. Go ahead. We have to be smart as a left-wing movement how we spend our resources. Crystal Ball and them, they want us to unlimitedly spend our resources. I don't know if you saw this, CJ, because these kind of tweets show you the seriousness of people like Marianne Williamson. She's still celebrating these polls, fam. Look at this. I'm glad you did it. Because I'm like, well, what are you guys doing? Because here's a national primary. Once again, the national polls don't even matter on primaries for one. You got primaries that are not going to exist because Democrats are canceling them. But Marianne Williamson and her supporters don't want you to know that. They want to trick workers into donating to Marianne Williamson and supporting her candidacy, even though she's running in a rigged primary, which she stand no chance, wasting our time and our resources. So here, Marianne Williamson at a clean 13%. I don't know if you guys are good at math, but that's not enough to win an election, right? And we have primaries coming up in a few weeks. So you would think that if you're a candidate, you want to win an election, you would see this number. You'd be like, oh, fuck, this is bad. We need to get going. This is not time to celebrate. Oh, nope, we got Marianne Williamson. And she see this number, and she says, as I was saying, what you saying? You getting destroyed. What are you talking about? You guys see how she's celebrating? Look, this person said, you're getting smoked. Why are you celebrating? As I was saying. He said, as I was saying, as you're not down by 50 fucking points only a few weeks ago to Iowa.
Oh, God.
Or South Carolina, wherever the Democrats got a different order, right? So I'm bringing this up to show you guys how this was never serious. You only celebrate getting 13% and not having a chance to win if your intention is to sell a book. If your intention is to sell a book, you celebrate 13%, CJ.
Yep.
I was a legitimate presidential candidate. Now I got a book. Well, you got 13%, you can say you're a legitimate candidate. That's what they need. They just need to hit that 13%. Once they hit 13%, they legitimize. They can sell the book. That's what Marianne Williamson is celebrating. So she see that number. She's like, yes. She don't give a fuck she losing. Yes. I did it. I didn't get absolutely, completely embarrassed. At least I got a number registered, right? Anyway, so John, pass it to you. This just showed the mindset of people like Marianne Williamson celebrating mediocrity in a job horribly done. Go ahead, CJ.
That's because in order for that book tour, if her numbers goes up, then she's more in the conversations where she can stretch out her book tour. She can stretch out her, 20 minutes of fame, 15 minutes of fame, whatever that phrase is. But now let's play this because I don't know how I missed this, so I'm a week late. Good, Nick. I watched this about 10 times. Laugh hard every single time I see this.
I haven't seen this clip yet.
This is Norm Finkelstein. I hope I'm saying this right. I'm Norman Finkelstein. On the Sabby Sab show, it's a clip where Sabby is asking. Let me actually read her whole tweet here. It is, oh wait, is this the right one? Hang on, there's two. Let me make sure I got the right one. There's this one. No, this is it. Okay, this is it. There's this one where. So she has them on, and this question is, how do you feel about some of the candidates? Now, this is how he feels about Marianne Williamson. Now, Nick, what happens a lot with RBN? We say things months in advance. We're just silly little Negroes. Nobody listens to us, or they call us being divisive. And then Shama Sawan, Ajamu, somebody that they respect says the exact same thing, almost verbatim. Then it's received. We don't get any apologies about that. Now, listen to Norman here, and you don't tell me a lot of what he says about Marianne Williamson is the exact same thing people said we were being divisive about.
I want to get your opinion, Norm, about some of the presidential candidates I feel get this issue incredibly wrong. And I feel like some of them, like RK Jr., for example, I feel like he's doing it on purpose. I feel like he knows the truth, but I feel like he's trying to keep AIPAC off of his back.
You just described were simply not the case. Israel is not an occupying force in Gaza. Israelis can't even go into Gaza. Hamas, they cannot even go in. Now the soldiers are in there because of this war that you and I both disagree with.
They're before October 7th.
Excuse me?
They were there before October 7th.
No, Israelis cannot even go. I'm not in any way arguing that the blockade of Gaza was not a good thing. However, Hamas, not all of the misery of the Gazans is due to Israel.
First of all, I'm not politically correct, so I'm just going to speak my mind. Marianne Williamson is an airhead, and I don't see why anyone should take into account anything she has to say about anything. Okay, she's good at self-help. Fine. If I needed self-help, I would go to Marianne Williamson. Well, I haven't a clue why she's commenting on these subjects. She has no idea what she's talking about. I really wish Marianne Williamson, I'm sorry, I'm getting sick of this. I wish she would just shut up. Because she hasn't a clue what she's talking about. So
dude, you can tell, like,
hilarious.
And you don't have to go back, but if you guys look at the clip again, when Norman Finkelstein was listening to Marianne Williamson say that there's not occupation of Gaza, his face was like, what the actual fuck am I listening to right now? And I can tell that he had anger building up. But he's more respectful than us, right? Like, he's not going to just fly off the handle like we would. Like, he just, nigga, I'm seething, bro. He's trying to maintain his composure. And then after a while, he can't hold it in anymore. And that's where the shut up line comes in. Savvy is very professional.
That was hilarious.
Savvy trying not to crack up. This is why Savvy better because she's more professional. I would have started dying. I was
there's no way I could have hold that shit. Yeah, there's no way I could have hold that.
Because
it felt like he did that for me. It felt like like I'm living through him. Like my pent up rage. Yes, like my pent up rage about this whole thing too. Like he did that for me. Like, hey, he was my anger translator. I felt it. But let me let the video finish, and then we can close this segment and move on to your stuff.
Why she's commenting on these subjects? She has no idea what she's talking about. I really wish Marianne Williamson, I'm sorry, I'm getting sick of this. I wish she would just shut up. Because she hasn't a clue what she's talking about. So she should just I'm sorry for raising my voice. I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm tired.
Oh, God.
I just wish she would shut up. Because she hasn't a clue what she's talking about.
Oh, Lord.
And she speaks with such authority. Like she's a graduate of a girls' finishing school. She speaks with such authority. Authority about what? Ms. Williamson, have you read a single book on the subject? Have you read a single human rights report on the subject?
You're mansplaining.
Have you read a single economics report on the subject? Then what are you talking about?
My Lord, Nick, I'm laughing at this every time I see that. That is absolutely classic. Absolutely classic.